Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Life is But a Dream. My name's Adriana, and I am here with a very special episode today. Today, we're going to be talking about the Enneagram personality types, or what we're going to discover ego types. And I have the perfect person here to talk about it with, and that is actually my best friend of 12 years. 12 years this August. So, special time for us. I'm here with Nadi.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Nadi. How are you? Thanks for coming.
So we have, so it's very important that I wanted her on this episode because we really kind of fell into the rabbit hole of Enneagrams together.
Yeah.
And this was about 2 years ago, was
Yeah,
it?
like 2023,
Yeah.
and y'all, we have not looked back since.
No, the Enneagram is a really beautiful way to really come into self-acknowledgement, self-awareness, realizing what type of person that we become out of the experience that we had in our early life. So you guys are in for a treat.
Yeah.
I'm super excited because I'm gonna be talking I speak Enneagram very fluently, and so it's gonna come up throughout the rest of the podcast for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I just wanted to have a episode where I'm explaining it all. So if you ever need to reference it, you can come back to this episode just so we're always on the same page. And it's a great, great way to connect with yourself and realize what ways you've been moving and if that works or if it doesn't work for you. And if there's something that you can do in order to have a more happy, fulfilled life, this Enneagram is definitely a holder of a lot of keys for that. So
Yeah,
I'm
and
excited.
it's just fun because the book even says Enneagram self-discovery. So it's a good way to look at yourself. And I'm just cracking up because she's like, I'm going to use this in every single video. And we use this in our everyday life. We'll be like,
Every day.
I'll be telling her about a coworker and I'm like, he's a type 7.
Okay.
Yeah, because
And now,
it's
now I have an idea about what we're dealing with.
now we know what we're dealing with when you get to know these personalities. So like it is a really interesting topic. It's a really interesting book, and not saying that everybody should be categorized by this book, but it's really accurate.
Yeah, yeah. It's just simply a tool in order for you to connect better with people, figuring out where they're coming from, why they're coming at you the way that they are, different defense mechanisms, and it's a really good way to become closer to people around you. And like for example, for us, like she's a type 2, which you guys will learn. I'm a type 4.
Yeah.
So, if we're coming to each other with something and we kind of hear from the other person like, hey, you know where that's coming from? You type 2
Right.
or
I
you
see you
type
type too.
4.
Yeah.
So it's just a great way to just come into more awareness. So
Yeah. I love it.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so first we're going to briefly talk about how we even discovered this in the first place. And again, she's a very important part to this because she actually was the one that brought it to our attention. So I'm gonna kind of let her start this one off.
So one day I was just like doom scrolling on not Instagram but on TikTok, and this woman has this video and she's like, I read this book to find my husband. And I was like, and that's so on brand for a type 2, but I was like immediately like locked in. I'm going to read this book. And she's like, she goes further in the video. She's talking about how you can use this book to learn so much more about everybody. And she's like, now I know that I want a man that's in the instinctual triad. I don't want a man that's in the feeling triad. I have no clue what this means. But what I heard is, one, you found your husband. Me, that's what I want. Two, you use this book to get to know everybody around you. That's exactly what a type 2 would, and it says it in the book, which is so funny. So of course, I ordered this book on Instagram. And then I started doing the 75 hard. And if you've ever done the 75 hard, you got to read 10 pages a day. So I was like, this is a thick, hefty book. I wish I had my book to show them, but it's a pretty good, like, imagine a dictionary. um, and so I'm reading this book and I'm kind of like, it has like a slow start. But the first chapter in the book by Don Richard Russo is type twos. And imagine we are all hanging out, I'm watching the show, and I'm reading, and something that the book says is that you will know your personality when you get extremely uncomfortable. You may feel ashamed, you may feel embarrassed. I'm reading this personality typing book, and it starts with type two. I'm reading it next to my best friends, and I'm sick. I was absolutely like, if y'all gonna see me, I was like pale and quiet because this book was so accurate. Like I was one so ashamed because it read me to filth. Like it snatched my wig clean off my head.
I remember like we were like, because none of us are in that same context that she's reading right now.
Yeah.
And so we're just like, oh, laughing, having fun. And then you look over to Nadia on the couch and she's just like, oh, like, they're just like reading this book. And we're like, oh my gosh, what is she going through right now?
Yes, and everyone kept asking me if I was okay, and of course, as a type two, wanting to always look good. Yeah, I'm fine, guys. I'm fine. But I was sick to my stomach. And I think the next day, so during, like I said, I was doing the 75 hard, and me and Adriana literally worked out together pretty much every single day, period. And so we were sitting in your room, and I was like, Adriana, you gotta read this book. I was like, I was telling her, I was like, it was so accurate. I wanted to throw up. Like, it was truthfully that accurate. And so, I think you ordered it on Amazon as well, but I think you listened to it on Audible. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then obviously it just literally spread like a wildfire through our group of friends. Like everybody's reading it. And me and Adriana are trying to get through the chapters. We're probably the first two in our friend group to finish it.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because we're like, I haven't seen Sean. I've read 8 of these chapters. I still haven't seen Sean. And it's funny because the last chapter is chapter 1.
And Sean's my brother for reference.
Yes, her twin brother. And so then we both read type 1 and we're like,
there it is.
There it is. Like, there he is. We found him. Yeah. But yeah, it's a really fun book. Yeah.
Yeah, what I really love about it is, as you're reading the different chapters, it even says in the book too that you might pick up this book because you want to learn the in and outs of people, you want to get the best of them, but as you read it, you really come to realize like, oh wait, I don't want to read this to have a quick one on someone or
Right.
take advantage of them. I want to read this because it's giving me so much insight and perspective on where they're coming from, what their
Right.
childhood might have been like. For example, my mom, we weren't close growing up, and I always thought it was something that was wrong with me. But realizing that she's a type 6, I realized that she does have some difficulty when it comes to emotional connection and whatnot. We have a great relationship now, but it just gave me so much clarity and just so much understanding and so much peace. And, like different past relationships I've been in, I was like, okay, I see that this is where, like, what he dealt with growing up. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Now I know.
Yeah.
And it, like Nadia was saying in that first video that she saw, like, it kind of gives you an idea, like, okay, what I feel like would be very compatible with me would be something like this, a type like this. So it just gives a lot of insight. And so back to the point of how we kind of got started with it, we kind of just fell into it and realized really quickly on how much opportunity there was reading a book like this.
Yeah.
And it really changed our lives. We literally started sharing it with everyone. We're telling every friend in our friend group, like, oh, you're this type, and
Yeah.
like just like basically like unprovoked, just
Yeah.
getting them
like reading
coaching
them. Like,
and you
You
know,
need to stop being so peaceful, whatever. Like,
right? You need to stop being people pleaser.
yeah,
You need to stop being controlling. Blah blah
yes,
blah. You know, it was for the most part very respectful,
yeah,
as respectful as it could have been back when we
before
first
we,
started,
yeah,
before we came into even more awareness and what
yeah,
it looks like to properly inspire someone
yeah,
to work on themselves.
right.
So,
I would even say that this book, like we've been talking about how you can read others, and I think, of course, for us, that excites us. You know what I mean? But this book really is, it's not even just the book. Like, this is a book that has a lot of details about it, but there's multiple books. The Enneagram personality typing system is so thorough with explaining who you are on 9 different levels, and it's very, very accurate that you can use it. I would even say that me and Adriana kind of use this book to be on the emotional intelligence journey that we are on ourselves. Like, we started with this Enneagram, and it really gave us an opportunity to look within. Like, I have specific affirmations and meditations that I do because I'm like, I know I'm a type 2. I know this is something that happened to me in my past, and I know I get to heal it. So it's like really good introspection as well as a way to learn the people around you.
yeah,
Yeah.
I, one of the biggest realizations that I had when it came to me being a type 4 was that, what was my biggest realization? I feel like my biggest realization was that since I grew up without a direct influence on who I was, how I moved about the world, how I interpreted everything, because the type 4, the parental experience is feeling vastly different or disconnected to both of your parents. And so that obviously you can kind of think that that led me to interpret who I was. And as a kid, we don't know how to do that. We really base a lot of who we are based off of our parents. And so for that to not be there, I really felt like I had to create a identity that maybe was, mm, how would you say that? Like,
So type fours.
tell them about much.
So, like she was saying, everything's kind of accurate because she felt disconnected from her parental figures. She um, created a personality. One, type fours are kind of melodramatic. They're like, this is the world that I live in. Nobody gets me.
Yeah.
But they create a personality that they think is amicable for everybody to kind of pick up on. You know what I mean? They create a personality rather than look inside at themselves because they don't think that they have an identity. They're like, I am going to create my own identity. She's going to be the definition of like Build a Bear workshop. She's gonna wear this outfit. She's gonna look like this. This is how she's gonna wear her hair. Like, this is how she's gonna talk. This is how she's gonna show up. Like, this is the personality that they create. And a lot of it is mental. Like, no one told them to create this, but this is what they do to survive, which is really interesting. And you know what? I kind of just had a breakthrough myself. um, because you were talking about your connection to your parental, and type 2s tend to connect to the figure in their life that was paternal, and literally it all connects. I forgot about that, but we feel the need to be like performative with ourselves, be more performative so that we can receive love and validation mostly from that paternal figure. And it's a whole thing that I'm working on, but I was telling Adriana, remember, I was like, I think it's easier to receive validation from men. Like, as myself, I'm not saying all type twos, but Nadia, I do think it's been easier to receive validation from men. And now I understand where that comes from. Like, as a child, that was something that I did, was attached to that parental figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. You literally could connect the dots.
Yeah, I even had an epiphany when you were talking about type fours, and I think back to Megan Fox. She's on this wave. She knows about the Enneagrams, and she's a type four
Period.
as well.
Queen.
So, but she was just talking about how lonely the type four experience is,
Mm-hmm.
and so when you said that um, we felt disconnected and that we tried to create an image that would be likable and people would love it, is because we felt so lonely. It's
Yeah.
because we felt so disconnected since we didn't feel like we had a strong connection with our mom or our dad. And so we just felt so lonely. We didn't know what to do. So we're like, okay, well, I don't feel like I have love right now. And so I need to create an image that will give me love.
Yeah.
And wow,
And
crazy,
it's
crazy,
crazy
crazy.
because ours triad, so two, three, and four, we're all in the same triad and very focused about image, very image focused. Like type twos are like, I gotta come off as the most loving and caring person so that I can receive love. And type fours are like, I gotta be the most likable person and the most out of like the blue, not the blue, but norm
Yeah, kind
like
of
person.
like not only do I have to be liked, but I have to stand out. So
Yes,
I will
yeah.
always be loved
Be
and I'll
loved,
always be
and this
liked.
is where image focus. I gotta present this way. I gotta perform this way.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
We're giving you guys a lot of spoilers and sneak peeks. Yeah.
So before we get into the juicy juiciness of all the types specifically, we do want to make the disclaimer, and we know that a lot of places they talk about these are personality types, and then that kind of led us ourselves to for a while we would identify with it and be like, oh well, I'm a type four, so I do this, or
Mm-hmm.
she's a type two, so she does this. But that's you identifying with that. But we get to realize and admit to ourselves that this is simply our survival response.
Yeah.
This is our defense
Yeah.
mechanism. This is the person that we felt that we had to become in our childhood in order
Yeah.
to survive.
Yeah.
And so, you could choose to identify with that if you want, but you're so much more than that.
Yeah.
This is who we felt like we had to become in order to survive, but we get to acknowledge where that ego comes from so then we can identify it and then work backwards towards our true authentic selves before we felt like we had to survive, before we felt like we had to put on different masks, act in different ways, take control of different things, and just losing our true authenticity. So that's one thing that we wanted to disclaim, is that we don't want to continue to say personality types, but we would like to just make it clear that this is like a defense mechanism
It's an
or
ego.
an ego.
Yeah.
So, and in case you don't know what an ego is, she explains it nicely.
Oh man, do I? So I will explain ego, but it's not going to be based off of how the book explains it. So your ego is a tool that you create as a child in order to feel safe. I always tell people, because sometimes we're a little bit like, you're so egotistic, you know what I mean? Sometimes we make our egos so negative, but it really is how we protect ourselves as kids. And um Adriana explained it really well by saying, like, when we were children, something traumatic happened to us, and we decided that in one way or another we're going to present ourselves, perform ourselves differently in order to feel safe. um and the book is just so good at explaining what happens. It talks about your parental attachments, it talks about your upbringings, but most importantly, also talks about what your ego looks like in those 9 stages. And like she said, you do start off as this authentic being. And the more that your ego deintegrates, you're able to see how your ego changes through all the stages from healthy to unhealthy. So yeah, if ever you're feeling like your ego's getting in the way or just being too protective, I always tell Adriana, I'm like, tell your ego, thank you for protecting me, but I don't need you right now, because that ego will make you unconscious to the way that you're showing up in the world.
All right, so now that we got those disclaimers out, um, stay with us.
Yes.
So with
This is
these,
when it becomes like,
but don't worry, you got the best teachers here for this.
period. Yeah.
So for the 9 different types, they're beautifully organized into 3 smaller sections, which is the feelings triad, the thinking triad, and the instinctual. So those 3 sections are just simply how their brains naturally, or like what their brains naturally go to in order for survival. Right?
Yeah, like they're centers. You know, all of these triads, or the way that the 3 are grouped, is because all of them have similar centers. If that makes sense.
And we'll expand on each of them as we get into each type. So
yes,
don't you worry. We're going to start with the feelings triad, which is 2, 3, and 4.
us.
So yes, we are part of the feelings triad. So that means our center is we're all about feelings. We're all about emotions. That's a big way how we make decisions. That's a big way how we decide what we're going to be doing. How we're going to be doing it is how we feel.
Yes.
So if you already know that's not you, you know you're not in the feelings triad.
Right.
So check.
Yeah.
You're getting closer to figuring out which one you are.
Yeah. As I said before, this feelings triad is very led by our image. So the feeling that controls this triad is shame. Like, it's probably the emotion that we choose to fall victim for the most is shame. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So the first one is type 2, otherwise known as the helper. The core fear being unloved or unwanted. The core desire is to be loved and needed. The key motivation is to feel appreciated by meeting others' needs. And the common attitudes that you might experience with these would be warm, generous, people pleasing. And their ego strategy is that they like to gain identity by giving to others. Mm-hmm. Type 2s, their healing direction is set boundaries and receive without guilt.
Oof. Me too.
And yeah, I guess we'll start there. And just for reference, to kind of maybe paint a little image in your mind, some examples, some like characters in movies and stuff. A type 2 would be, I don't know any of those.
Type 2 is Mother Teresa. Like, always giving, loving, taking care of everybody. Like, this is your ideal parent. Like, this is the person, like, I forget what I was saying.
Which character from New Girl is the type 2?
Oh, I love New Girl, and I can get into what every single. I've watched New Girl. If you see this New Girl casting director, I've watched it more than anybody on this planet. Period. I can say that confidently. Just kidding. Jess from New Girl. If you've seen New Girl, Jess from New Girl is a type 2. She is type 2 through and through. She's always like the savior in the group, the rescuer of the group, but she's also the character that's always looking for love. And this character is very motherly, very nurturing, always taking care of somebody, like literally
Always thinking about what other people
always
might
thinking
be.
about other people.
Yeah.
Yes. And with type 2s, it's kind of like they just are never taking care of themselves. They're always taking care of other people. And it's funny because out of spite, they will take care of themselves. Like, oh, you gonna treat me like that? Fine. I'm gonna take care of myself. And I've done it. You guys have done it.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's funny because so many people say, I think everyone's a type 6. Like, majority of people are type 6s. I feel like, and maybe it's like, you know, people with the same ego kind of attract. But I feel like I always meet type 2s. Or at least maybe, oh no, in the book. In the book, it literally says type 2s project themselves onto people. Oh shit. Well, maybe I don't know anyone's personality.
All right, so yes, that is our lovely type 2. So if you relate to that, or if you could think of anyone, let us know down in the comments or DM us. Let's start a conversation. Let us know. So the next type is going to be the type 3, otherwise known as the achiever or the performer. So right off the bat, it says that their core fear is being worthless or failing, or the core desire is to feel valuable and admired. Their key motivation is to appear successful and desirable. Their common attitudes would be polished, efficient, goal-oriented. Their ego strategy seeks validation through image and success. Type 3s, their healing direction is they get to embrace authenticity over performance. Mm-hmm. And some examples of this is Elle Woods from Legally Blondes. You know, she wanted that perfect image. She wanted that perfect husband. She literally decided to go to law school. She got into Harvard and just went all the way with it just to achieve and to, you know, come at ease with her ego that she is successful, that she is important, when she lost her man. You know, she had to prove that to herself.
But also prove it to other people around them. Like, keep in mind, like, this is an image-driven thing. So typically type 3s, when they're unhealthy, they can be liars. They'll make up stories to like try to appear more successful than what they are. They are the person, like the ideal person that you want, or like that everybody would want to be. This is what the American standard wants us to be. Good at grades, a great body, a great smile, great dresser. Like, they are just checkbox. But it's just an image, because they're actually truthfully probably the most disconnected with their feelings. They don't have that feeling, you know?
Yeah, they feel like, I don't have time for my feelings. I just need to look good. I just need to achieve in order to be loved, get validation, whatever that case may be. And so that parental experience, that kind of tells us that they probably have very goal-oriented parents, perhaps, or maybe they grew up with parents who put really high expectations on them and kept pushing them to succeed, kept pushing them to make something out of themselves, to become ideal. So if that rings a bell for anyone in your life, or maybe even yourself, you know, just start to think, like, why am I doing this? How did I come into this motivation to always want to achieve? And if I didn't achieve, how would I feel?
Yeah.
Would I feel valuable? Would I feel worthy? So just good things to ask yourself.
Yeah. For me, really quick, I realized this story because there was a coworker I was working with, and there was something about him. He always made me so upset because he lied about everything, like everything that you could come up with. He would just lie about, and like people would be like coming to me and telling me his stories, and I'm like, mind you, like, this man is 19 years old. How? would he have accomplished this much in his life at 19 years old? Like, if you did, period, but like, you did it. You did it. And so I was reading this book, and I remember I'm reading the type 3, and I'm at work, and he walked in, and I was like, this is you. You're a type 3. But it does say that, like Adriana said, with your parental experience as a type 3, maybe your parents focused on what you were doing more than like who you were as a child. And so in order to feel loved and feel appreciated, you boast, you kind of show off, you kind of like become this version that is not actually you, but you're so successfully driven because that was the only way you received love. Yeah.
And that really goes to show that deep down, type 3s just really don't feel good enough. And that is so sad because, you know, everyone, like, you know, what is good enough?
Right.
You know, like, it's whatever you decide that is. It's not what other people might project onto you. It's not what society might project onto you. And I feel like a lot of society is type 3s, especially nowadays, especially with, you know, social media. We have such a idealized version of what we all should be doing, what we should be doing, how much money we should be making, what type of car we should be driving. And people are so focused on being that and doing that they just don't feel good enough. And it really does show that. And I feel like, I don't know, like some celebrities that would be type 3s, like you could probably...
New Girl, Schmidt. Schmidt from New Girl is literally a type 3. He literally changes his whole entire look and personality after high school. He loses so much weight. And even though he's working for like that, what is it called? Like advertisement company where it's all females, like he still wants to be the very best. Like he has to be the best love maker. He has to be the hottest one. He has to be the one that attracts everybody. And you see those moments where he does feel low and where he feels like he's not good enough, especially for Cece and stuff. And he's just waiting for somebody to tell him that he's good enough. And he doesn't have to keep doing all those things, but he's just so like, I gotta achieve, I gotta be the best, you know what I mean? So Schmidt's the only one that I can think of right off the bat.
A type 3 that we get to acknowledge is Mother, Beyonce.
Is she a type 3 or type 4?
I would say that she's a type 3 for wing.
Okay, explain.
I mean, that's what I feel like a lot of, like, whenever I do hear people talking about her Enneagram type, it usually is type 3.
Oh, okay.
And then with the 4, with the 2, does make sense. Which that's another thing that we'll
talk about the wings
can go deeper
in a minute.
But each type has a wing. It's very self-explanatory.
Yeah.
On either side of a 3, it's a 2 and a 4. Those are your wings.
Yeah.
So
we'll get more into it.
So you just inhabit little personality traits from each of those sides that you're on. But yeah, Beyonce, you know, she, knowing as much as I do of her parental experience, from a very young age, she was always, you know, maybe not pushed, but she was always highly encouraged to be a performer, dance classes, singing classes, you know, just being that performer.
Yeah.
That is called. And so, you know, we definitely see those type 4 tendencies where she's very artistic, she's very at one with her craft. Because I don't see a 5 wing on her, really. Or maybe...
I don't, but...
You know...
I would say she's a 4 with a 3 wing. Which is, like, kind of could be a lot of the same. But the only reason I say that is because she is kind of, like, Beyonce. Think about Beyonce. She is kind of, like, isolated as a performer. And she does set herself apart from everybody else. But... Yeah. We should 100% do an episode. Comment your celebrities and we'll talk about which celebrities we like, it's what we think they are. Because we could probably go back. And we do it all the time with our friends too. Like, no, I really think that they're, no, but they're, you know.
Right.
But I can see Beyonce as a type 3.
Right.
I just don't see her as a liar. Even though type 3s aren't liars. Let me say that. Let me say that. And also, I want to also say that the number has nothing to do with anything. The number is just so it's unbiased.
Yes. Yeah, that is one thing that we probably get to put in the beginning. Maybe I might even put this in the beginning.
Yeah.
But just a disclaimer, the order of these numbers have no significance to importance, no significance to what's better. The numbers are just simply
it's just
a neutral way, unbiased way to reference a specific experience, a specific type, a specific ego. So
yeah, and they're not ranked either. Like, it's not like number 1's the best and number 2's the second best and 9 you suck. Like, it's literally not like that. It's just, like we said, unbiased numbering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so next is type 4s. The individualist or the romantic is their nickname. And their core fear is being insignificant or unoriginal. Their core desire is to find identity and meaning. The key motivation is to be seen as unique and emotionally deep. Common attitudes would be sensitive, expressive, moody, and deep. Their ego strategy is to create uniqueness, to feel special. And the healing direction is they get to find joy in presence, not performance. Good to know.
That is good.
So yeah.
Type
and
4s.
Some examples of type 4s is Rue from Euphoria. I did not know that. Almost think that's a little debatable. But a good reference is Cece from New Girl. If
we're gonna keep on this New Girl track, Cece from New Girl.
Cece from New Girl is a type 4 Enneagram.
Yeah.
And we will explain why. So we have seen a bit of her childhood experience in the show, right?
Cece.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, she grew up, so it's not always that you felt directly disconnected from your parents, but it's also could be you grew up with the experience that you felt like you were vastly different from your parents, that you maybe just didn't have the same ideals. Maybe you just grew up in different cultures, which we saw that her parents are from India, right? And she grew up in the US, so that's already automatically very different. And also another thing for type 4 is their experience could be that they just simply felt like they didn't experience a lot of life, or like they felt that their experience was kind of mundane, or they just didn't experience much. Maybe they were really ostracized from the rest of the world.
Another thing that I loved about, like, when I was reading the book and I knew when I read this line that this was Adriana, and I even thought it was her twin, but it says the type 4 is going to have it's going to be the best dressed person that you know. At every point you see them, they are going to be the best dressed. They're also going to be the ones who are the most artistic, and they are the ones who are like their rooms, when you walk in their house, like you're like, oh my gosh. I post pictures in my apartment that I shared with Sean. I walk in, there's new decorations. Like, I didn't even touch the decorations in this room, and people were like commenting on my story like, wow, Nadia, these decorations and everything. So they're going to have the best looking place, the best looking, because
sounds all great and dandy.
Yes, but this is how they want to appear to be likable for everybody. And they are, like, that is a gift for them. They do have that eye for beauty. Like, they are known as the most artistic personality type.
That really does go into, being so connected with your inner world, your creativity, And, you know, again, like we were saying, that yes, those are all great things to have when you want to project a certain image, but we get to acknowledge honestly and truthfully and vulnerably that it does come from a place of wanting to be liked, not exactly always knowing how to express ourselves verbally. You know, not anymore.
Yeah, period.
We got a podcast, so we're all the way. But, you know, just, you know, like as a kid, I remember even in elementary school, like back to school clothes shopping was my time. I would lock in, I would plan all my outfits. That was my time to go into school because I was pretty shy. I was liked because of the image I put on, and I was just always a cutie patootie. But, you know, that was my way of expressing myself. I wasn't always confident enough to, you know, be outgoing and speak my true creativity or articulate it or share with others. Like, my way of expressing it was through clothes, was through you know, my image.
Yeah.
And one type 4 that I do want to recognize, that I'm very proud of to say, that does this beautifully, is our girl Rihanna.
Yeah.
You know, Miss Best Dressed. I forget what year it was. She won that fashion award. She is known for her image. She is known for being best dressed. She is known for having that creative integrity, very unique. Has had so many different eras, so many different looks that she's put on and took off, and, you know, which is a beautiful thing, and it makes great for the entertainment industry. But, you know, I just wonder, like, what was her childhood experience like? So yeah, that's one really great celebrity to kind of, like, you know, pinpoint to like oh yeah, I see that. Megan Fox, Rihanna, Michael Jackson, Prince, I think Lindsay Lohan, actually, which is cool.
I still think Beyonce is in that list.
I will claim it. I will claim Beyonce as the type 4.
I want to also say that when you read through the Enneagram type 4, it does say that type 4s have so much potential, and one of the things that they feel shame or like punish themselves for is not tapping into that potential, not going after those things that they want, because they are literally visionaries and they are all about self-expression, and they spend so much time creating this version of the self, or this version of the world that they want, that this is like what consumers just eat, you know. And so that's something that if type 4s don't project themselves like Rihanna or Beyonce or, you know, Michael Jackson, they kind of beat themselves up and, you know, create a lot of guilt around that. So I don't know, I feel like everyone has a type 4 in their life, and I'm very grateful for mine. I'm always like, Dre, I need a photo shoot.
Outfit ideas.
Yeah. Type 4s, get out of your head and just do it.
Yeah, just do it. I think about, or that reminds me that, like, a big thing with type 4s is that since we don't have our own set identity in our mind, or when we are in lower mental places, we feel like we don't have a strong identity, and so we identify with what we do, our art. So, you know, that's why we might get stuck in our heads, because it's like, well, I want to put this out there, I want this podcast to go out there, but I'm worried about how it will be received, because this is my art, therefore it's a reflection of me, and I identify with what I produce as, like, who I am. So if someone were to reject this podcast or reject whatever I create, then if I allow myself to, I might feel like I'm being rejected because I'm identifying with the art that I'm working with. So yes, if you feel like you are a type 4, let us know that too. Let me know that I'm not alone.
We need you, type 4s. Give the people what they want. Yes.
Hello everyone, I just wanted to hop in and let you guys know that I did end up cutting this episode into 2 parts. You just watched part one, the introduction with the Feelings Triad, and part two is already up. It is the rest of the personality types and the conclusion. All right, you guys, thank you so much for following us on this adventure through the Enneagram. We can talk about this over and over
Literally
again for
over and
hours
over.
and
Yeah.
hours. So if you guys want us to talk about anything specifically, comment, DM us exactly what you want us to talk about, and we will talk about it.